Hello and welcome to our next stage in our tutorial. We'd sort of left our character at this sort of stage here. We still have a bit of tidying up to do before we move on. So let's go back into sculpt mode. I'm going to fix this sort of area here. So I've got my grab tool selected. So So I'm going to try and just make this a little bit more this down a bit. Okay, so we're trying to increase sort of the way the muscles are moving, but also bring sort of these feet closer to, so we'll go object mode. And I'm going to go into edit mode, which is, I need to check, I've only 187,000 verts, so it's not too bad. So into edit mode, and I'm going to make sure I can see everything. So in wireframe, and I am going to select this here, and I don't want obviously a straight line, so I'm going to turn on proportional editing, and go G, X. My machine's having a little think about that. How much RAM am I using? At the moment, 439 meg of RAM, which is not a lot. Let's see if that shoots up as I move a few thousand verts. I can definitely hear the processor fan going a bit faster. Okay. So when this moves in, we're just basically trying to get the feet underneath the character a little bit more, in terms of its center of gravity, etc. So okay, so that's this. Oh, there we go. Now, because I'm using this tool, the proportional editing tool, again, it doesn't just bring a straight line of verts. It'll move the whole leg, so this will give us a more sort of desirable result in terms of what we're looking to do. Now, if I'd had a better sort of starting point for this model, like a reference point of our drawing that I'd made, what I'm fixing here, I wouldn't have this problem. So a little more prep on fixes that I'm making here would be unnecessary. Okay, so nearly there with this. It'll take another couple of seconds, and then we're going to have a look at our next process, which is using texture brushes. And texture brushes in so about there. So our texture brushes, even though it's quite a small move, it's much better. It makes the character a lot better, or a lot more believable. So at this stage, if we try and use texture brushes, we won't get very far. You can actually see individual faces here. So if we want to draw like crow's feet or some sort of detail like that, you can see how they'll come out. They'll just be individual triangles. So we need a lot more geometry if we're going to be able to put in kind of a nuanced kind of skin tone on this guy. So there are a number of ways we can proceed. So I can cut him up, like cut off his head, cut off limbs, etc., and attack them all sort of individually. I can continue with my in sculpting with dynamic retopology and just brush on more and more detail, and that could work, but it's an odd kind of way to go about it. The easiest way at this stage for us to do that is actually to go back to where we started. So now that we've got our basic shape, to actually go back and add a multi-resolution modifier. So we'll subdivide, and we should go up over 1 million. Oh, I am subdividing the eye. Brilliant. So subdivision, or multi-resolution. Okay, so subdivide. We're going to go from 187,000 verts to 1.1 million. Now, that's still not enough. We still need more geometry in order to be able to paint in the level of detail that I'm looking for. And so the next step will work on some people's computers and not on everyone's. So I'm going to subdivide this a second time, and this should shoot up to about 4 million. And this computer here that I'm working on should be able to handle that. It'll, pause for this initial step while it's actually generating the subdivisions, but it should allow me to manipulate approximately 4 million verts. If you have an older machine, you may struggle. So there I am, 4.4 million. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to save as, and we'll call this stage 5. So here we are. We have a lot of geometry. Now, what do we want to do with all that geometry? Well, let's start painting. So I'm going to make a new brush. I'm going to call this Skin 1. And I'm going to go Open. And I have a folder here with a couple of images in it. There's one. I'm going to create Skin 2. And Open, and we'll bring in something like that. Okay. So I'm going into sculpt mode. Again, it'll take a couple of seconds to go in. And what we're looking to do now in sculpt mode is I'm going to go to my clay brush tool. I'm not going to turn on dynamic retopology. I am going to leave on the X mirror axis. And I'm going to select one of my brushes here. So I'm going to select Skin 2. I'm just going to look at this shoulder here. I'm going to press F. So if I dab, so I'm just left clicking here, you can see that pattern emerge on the shoulder, which is what I'm looking for. I'm not drawing, I'm not kind of moving the brush. I'm trying to get the pattern to emerge. So let's start with that there. Maybe and then what we'll do is if you remember, it's about scale, so we can get quite a few interesting effects just by using the brushes from different vantage points, and the level of detail will increase or decrease accordingly. Now, this is the shoulder on this creature is quite a large feature, so having sort of quite a specific texture there is will aid us. Now let's change to this here, and again we'll see how this works here. going to go Control Z there. Now, let's have a look at how this is going to work in close quarters on the face. So we'll take our brow here. So we can see our pattern emerging. So we work across the brow. I create a new brush. We'll call it Skin 3. And this is going to be slightly different. We're going to bring in a different type of image here. So I'm going to bring in this one. This has got a little more kind of symmetry to it. It's going to give us a very different sort of feel as we dab it across the face. Now keep in mind I'm going to come back and use the smooth tool on this in a moment. That'll give us quite a bit of control. Yeah. So here's our pattern. Okay. So we'll smooth off on that a little bit. Switch back to that one. Okay. Now, I'm going to get rid of this texture and just use clay strips and do a little bit more work on our mouth. So I'm going to create an upper lip. Which up until now we did not have. And give sort of an illusion of teeth there. Okay. Now, so back here, I'll stay on clay strips. I'm gonna, too strong. Say 0.4. 0.4. Here we go. Try and bring in a skin kind of tone here to this. Make him look kind of odd and snaky. Okay, the same under here. Yeah. So again, a lot of what we're seeing here is interesting in terms of your modeling. So this brush is at its most effective where there's most geometry, and at its least effective here where there's the least geometry. So we've done quite a bit of modeling up here on the face and on the head, and consequently there's a lot of geometry up here. So when we drag the brush across, it can make finer, or there's a finer detail appearing than if we were simply to move it across, say, this stomach area. We'd get less detail because there's less geometry. Okay. Now, so this is just a a matter of picking your brush, picking the type of skin you want. Maybe, as I'm doing here, putting on sort of a base kind of skin tone that you want as a starting point, and then go back and put in something more exotic, like crocodile scales or something. Like I said, the scale of the brush is important to the level of detail. Okay. Now, nearly there. Okay, so when we're working on this guy later, there'll be what we want is a few different sort of texture types so that we can kind of color the skin relative to the texture. So again, skin is and pores, etc., are subtle enough. They're not something you really see until you get close in on most people, never mind 3D characters. So we don't want to make it too blatant. Okay. So let's have a look at what we got. Now, we need to go back and add a whole bunch of detail to this guy. So we're going to add, armor and some clothes, and so some of these parts here we won't actually see in the finished model. But we're not in a bad position. He's not beautiful in any way. But let's do a little bit more work on his little tusks here. But he's not the worst model in the world. Okay, so in terms of using texture brushes, like I said, you can spend a lot of time using many brushes on all the different parts of the body and different ones on the arms and the shoulders, etc. That's just sort of a very quick sort of introductory demonstration.